All right. Afternoon and welcome once again to Gaming Under the Influence. I'm Mike here with Alex, coming to you from GreenDragonCVR in Woodbridge, Ontario, to talk to you about video games.
Yes.
How are you, man?
I'm doing pretty well, man.
Playing anything this week? I'm not bad.
A little bit. I've been playing some Crisis Core, like usual. Trying to kind of wrap that one up a little bit. Interestingly enough, I don't think I talked about it. I played a game called Echo the Dolphin, but we might need to...
It's a great game.
Yeah, have you played that?
The Dreamcast game. Oh, yeah. Back in the day.
Well, I played the Genesis one, because that was the first one I had ever... Yeah. But yeah, aside from that, you know, I dabbled a little bit in Pokemon. It was mostly not good stuff, so...
Yeah,
the usual.
Your thoughts on Violet and Scarlet or whatever.
What about you? What have you been doing?
Just been playing a bit of Valheim and trying to decide what else to play. Got a couple of thoughts on that later, what I landed on, and I think they're relevant to the industry as a whole, but we can talk about that another time.
Sweet.
We spoke last week a little bit about Atomic Heart. We discovered its premises and fucking came to some understanding of what the game is actually about, beyond the retro-futuristic aesthetic and the setting in the USSR. And yeah, you know, I just want to say a few words, if that's all right with you, about the world building in the game, because it seems, from where I'm standing, pretty impressive, on par with something like BioShock or a Souls-like.
Yeah,
in terms
definitely.
Yeah, like what I like about it, you know, I've mentioned this many times in the past, but I believe that the way that world building works is, you know, it goes from general or metaphysical principles down to the characters and the particular inhabitants of the world, right? It's like a fucking onion, you know? There's the fundamental layers all the way out to the skin, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, the cool thing about Atomic Heart is like BioShock, you know, where there's this core conceit, like what if fucking this, like, capitalist, individualist impulse was freed of any social constraints, you could run amok at the bottom of the ocean. Let's see what that society would look like. It's a cool fucking idea, right? Or Miyazaki and his many different, like, mythopoetic myths about the creation of the world and, you know, how that plays out with, you know, samurai or fucking gothic horror or whatever, different palettes, right? Like, in all of these instances, the cool thing is how the world's informed by a consistent and fucking clear and integral concept, like some core idea or some vision of the universe that you can really see in all of its parts. And what I like about Atomic Heart is, you know, you go on the website here. I was exploring the website this week, looking into the developer, and neat thing is on the website, in the arts section, they have this lengthy write-up about the principles behind the design of the world, you know, and maybe we should just read a little bit of this.
Yeah, definitely.
So, the principles of modern eclecticism are the basis for the design of Atomic Heart, a combination of past aspects of the surrounding world packed into the neural network of each individual and known to each of us from childhood, and images of a new, previously unknown world of technology in the future USSR. I don't know if this is supposed to be describing in-game or, like, high-concept shit, but...
Yeah, all right.
In simpler words, the above can be called bionics, a combination of biology and technology. Inanimate objects, which are based on the forms of real biological beings, become animated due to their emotional appearances that remind us of real living beings. We see these images, observe them in motion, and feel strong, contradicting emotions in return, from fear and anxiety to joy and delight. It is well known that the main achievements of Soviet designers of the 50s to the 1970s were conducted in fields of space technology and the production of military and heavy equipment utilizing precision engineering. Many consumer goods were produced at military and heavy industrial factories, and this ensured their high quality and unique functionality. Soviet designers sought to create durable and high quality things out of time. The assortment policies of the state and the principles of modular design allowed for creating unified models that could be adapted to various social and cultural conditions. Such a reasonable, eco-friendly approach became the calling card of the Soviet system. In Moonfish, the developer of the game, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, the approach to the construction of the world and to the design of objects remained as scientific as it was in Soviet times. Every robot, anthropomorphic flying, or anything else is creatively thought out, taking into account the smallest details, including its internals. Inside each robot, there are the so-called guts, which make the mechanism move and feed the machines with energy. Wow. This approach affected the entire environment. Scientific laboratories, workshops, underground complexes, equipment, devices, mechanisms. Everything is thought out, taking into account the research conducted there and their primary goals. Really, the ending bit here is what I think really stands out, right? The setting in Atomic Heart is the future USSR, the world of scientific logic based on one simple dream, the conquest of space and matter by men.
Wow.
That's like a nice write-up, man.
Yeah, I think it's probably the most important part of, you know, creating something like this. Like, is, you know, like think about BioShock, for example. If you say like Ken Levine, who like would have had the idea for Rapture first, right? Like that's your like starting point. You have like this whole complete vision of this society and what, you know, happened and what's going on, the particulars, and then you sort of pen like the characters and what's going on, but like the grander vision is what matters. And it seems like they have a grasp, or this guy has a grasp of that, and it's, well, what's going on here. They sort of, you know, took this timeline, sort of like in you know, the Resistance,
That's exactly right,
fucking
alternate history
like,
stuff.
yeah, alternate history garbage, which is awesome. And then kind of created from there, right? And expanded upon that and created their story, their characters, and what's going on.
Absolutely.
But the fucking universe and the world is forefront and center. That's always like the main takeaway, it seems, right? It's important. And then reading some of that stuff on that website really makes it, you know, evident that that's what is happening there.
Yeah, really, that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
You know, that the approach of the designers to the game was in terms of, you know, ensouling this concept in matter, right? Like giving it appendages and limbs and like fucking appreciable material parts that you can interact with. And I like that. You know, I don't like cheap fantasy, for example, where you start with pointy ears and then somehow build a fucking essence into it after the fact, right?
Quite the opposite.
It's the wrong direction from the matter to the form. It should go the other way, right?
Yeah, it reminds me of the time we got that cyberpunk book on like the universe and the whole world of the game, and it came out before the game, and we were almost like good on just
I know, right?
We were like, all right, we got it.
Yeah, that was
We
awesome.
still played the game and it was awesome, but
Yeah.
just
For the
getting
same reason
that
as the book.
fucking book with those like colorful, vivid images and all the write up of the world and the corporations and the whole, you know,
for sure.
everything was just amazing. It's so cool.
I like, well, you know what, to that point, actually, just as an anecdotal thing, like, it makes sense that, you know, because what you're doing when you're appreciating a work of fucking art is you're trying to like ascertain the concept that its creator has planted in the matter. You know what I mean? You're trying to fucking discern what its meaning is behind its superficial aspects. The purpose of the thing is not merely its fucking color and shape and blah blah blah. You want to know what the thing, not its accidents, right? And in this sense, it fucking helps to understand the intentions of the people who created the thing. It's not fucking, it's not a spoiler alert like some fucking chode on Reddit's going to try and convince you.
And it helps when the intent is not to make money, like Mr. Fucking Krabs or some shit. You know, like there's actually something there. That's it.
Just
you know?
so far as though like there's this representational element to the art, and so far as there's more to it than its colors and shapes and the bare like sensory parts of it that strike your fucking eye and whatever. Insofar as there's more to it than that, of course it's fucking a benefit to understand in advance the concept that is somebody's attempting to communicate to you, right? And infinitely enhances your enjoyment of it because you're not fucking misinterpreting. And literally that's possible with art, misinterpreting the fucking sensory aspects of the thing, right?
Absolutely is. Yeah.
And, you know, that's an important point. This is something that lots of fucking guys that I respect have remarked on, philosophers of art and stuff like this. But furthermore, you know, I think it's interesting that I spent some time over the pandemic, because it's sort of like a foil to my own fucking views about the world, like looking into like Soviet history and philosophy and all of this shit. I probably talked to you about it extensively before. And like fucking, you know, one of the most... No, I think it's like what you could call an immanentist view that reduces all of reality to this singular plane, and that's why I find it objectionable. But like, you know, the central conceit of like Soviet society and ideology is the idea that of like fucking dialectical and historical materialism that like based on like fucking just the play and recombination of like matter, whatever, you know, you want to hash out the definition of that is another story, but based on the play and recombination of the simple parts of the universe, like, you know, the world develops into more and more complex parts unto its ultimate like perfect configuration, right?
Yeah.
And they believe that like, you know, mankind by building like this socialist society and by fucking perfecting production and technology would bring about that, and symbolically like conquering space and like robotics and nuclear technology were like, you know, the fucking the flagship efforts of this.
Yeah, it all ties in together, right?
Yeah.
That's probably like the ultimate goal, right? And
It's
they're
not
trying
really
to
like
fucking like funnel everything into
into this like this state where like we've conquered the fucking material universe, and like we're like fucking Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen there, you know. It's like, oh, like,
we did it.
and like everybody's like a part of this like perfect organism.
Yeah.
This, the communist society, right?
That's hilarious.
Anyways,
Interesting to look at, though.
yeah, this being and you know, anybody can read about this actually. It's really fucking remarkable shit that Anyways, I'm not going to make any value judgments because it's not the place for it, but you can read about it easily online. Just Google fucking Soviet philosophy textbook. There's hilarious, like, fucking massive books you can read. Very interesting stuff, and you can see the sense in which, like, these guys are building a game based on those principles, like a science fictionalization of those principles. It's like you took those principles and you applied it to, like, a future setting or, like, indeed an alternate history, right?
Yep.
And that's
And
very,
it
very
looks
cool.
cool as fuck.
I
can't wait to play it.
I like at least to me from where I'm standing right now, it looks as though like the art is occurring in the fucking appropriate direction. I.e., like somebody conceived a form and then went to fucking ensoul matter with that form, right?
It's one of those games that if you didn't tell me what it was, I would ask if it was like the next like BioShock, which
that's how it
is also something that exists. The Ken Levine's new game, but it sort of fits in that kind of, I guess. You know,
it does look like that's fucking a clear reference for the game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
Clear reference of the game. Maybe that and stuff like. Especially with the robots, stuff like Dishonored. That's something I didn't think of before, but Dishonored had a lot of that stuff too.
Yep, yeah, it does evoke Dishonored 1 and 2 probably.
But in Dishonored, the robots were less human. They were like clockwork. Here, I guess they're supposed to evoke like the guy was just saying, like human emotions.
Like fucking iRobot style, They can just blend in. And
it's very strange.
Yeah.
Fucking curious to see this. And on top of that, like we didn't even touch on like the inhabitants of the world. Like you're some fucking psychotic KGB agent on drugs or some shit like this. And
that's a whole other thing entirely. Yeah, that's great.
I love that. Disco Elysium 2, maybe.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, right?
Awesome.
Disco Elysium fucking on steroids.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't know, that's the world building of Atomic Heart. Fucking pretty excited for it. Happy to have encountered that little blurb there on the website. And there's also a huge bunch of like beautiful concept art. Really gets your
this one kind of came out of nowhere, and the hype has been building steadily for us. Like, the more we see, the more we kind of read and look into about this game, it keeps standing out more and more, right? So it's kind of shot up to the top of our list to play when it launches next month for sure.
To lay all my cards on the table, I also am super enthused for this because I fucking hate Western game design.
Yeah,
this is not that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a continuation, really, of what we've been saying for years probably at this point, is that fucking best games are just made outside of
North America.
Yeah,
they are.
Is what it is, man.